latest news, game updates, insights, highlights, and everything Liberty Hockey. This is Rock the Rink, where Liberty Hockey lives.
Game week finally here. Welcome to Rock the Rink and NC State coming to town. The Icepack. I always forget. I want to call them the Wolfpack, but it's the Icepack.
Yeah.
Coming to Lynchburg, taking on the Flames. First game of the year, fourth time they've done this in a row. And, you know, I'll be honest. Years previous, I'm always like, okay, this is going to be a run-of-the-mill win for Liberty. It's, a good team in NC State, but when you come off of a victory, 17-3, an ECU team that historically has been a decent program, that kind of makes you be like, okay, we might be facing a different animal here this week.
Yeah, I think the score probably made the antennas come up if you're a guy on the team. Like, you had to think like, oh, maybe they brought in some scores. Maybe they did something, obviously, to change things around. But I think for
something like that.
But I mean, like, I think for the Flames, like, you kind of know this team pretty well. Like, still a lot of the same guys that you faced over the last few seasons, and they know you well now. So, like, I think for Liberty, it's just about going in kind of they've done every year and executing. Now, don't get too cute once you start building a lead, because we've seen that, and get in trouble. Last year, Icepack tied the game up at 3-3 at one point, early second, and then Liberty finally laid the hammer down. But, like, I think that's got to be the mentality. Once you start piling in them goals, you got to go for the throat and just kill.
Before we dive into the rest of this, Kirk Handy is going to be joining us in about 5 minutes' time to talk about the start of the season with the Flames. We'll take a look at Men's Division 3, preview them. They have played a game already. Women's Division 2 as well. And then my favorite segment, Kirk's Corner is back.
Oh, boy. Yeah, can't wait. Yeah.
That was great last year. Loved it. I felt like I came back so knowledgeable. I'd be like, honey, guess what I learned today about my gut?
Oh, yeah.
No, but seriously, it was really good.
I appreciate
it. Was really good. All right, so Men's Division 1, obviously a lot of excitement around the start of the season. You know, it's going to be a packed house on Friday night. And, again, this is an opponent that I think on paper Liberty should win. I like this better than years previous in the sense that, you know, when a team like Tennessee in football takes on, I don't know, like Monmouth, they're going to get hammered, right? In like Monmouth is, and it's going to be a game where how much did you really improve? I think the way that NC State is trending, they're becoming a really solid D2 program. And you could even say now, like, they probably beat some D1 teams easily. Those elite D2 programs. I like the fact that this isn't just a give-me game. This is a game that you're going to have to focus in on, and while you can still correct some wrongs, you're going to have to be dialed into the point that it could slip away from you if you were just totally loosey-goosey.
Yeah. What I like, too, is it's showing hockey in the South. It's just growing, right? I think the Carolina Hurricanes' success has something to do with that, too, of just local talent. Just for example, we have Ryan Finch on our team from Raleigh, right? But true, it's just one of those of I hope for years to come this could be a pretty solid rivalry between the Icepack and Liberty.
Yeah. You know, when you look at the schedule, you know, we don't want them to look ahead to next week because that's the game that they want, but you have to play the game that's in front of you. You got to come out strong. There's going to be nerves for all those new players that are here and maybe not experience an atmosphere like the LIC, but if you don't play your game, it can get away from you pretty quick.
Yeah, that's a great question too. It's like, what do we think Liberty's game is going to be? You know, because it's a different group than it was a year ago. And I think a lot of the talent they've brought in, I've heard about size and work ethic and compete a lot.
Yes.
And we're going to ask Kirk about that here in a little bit as well. But to you guys that have probably seen more practices than the rest of us, what do you think the identity of this team's going to be?
I mean, I think it's going to be a really hardworking team, but I expect to see an uptick in both areas of goals for and goals against. I really think we're going to see the Flames be able to probably have a little bit more finish offensively and then be a little bit more stay-at-home minded as well, like a good defensive first effort. But then also, too, I think we're going to see a lot of more close games this year.
All right.
I really believe, like, Liberty's probably not going to blow teams out by 3 or 4, and not because they can't, because that's how tough the schedule is. And I think that's how much a lot of the other teams improve, too. But I think we're going to see in the past, where over the last couple of years, Liberty might lose those games, you're going to see them coming out on the other side because they are have that defensive first effort, and they know how to get it done now.
Yeah, I think what's going to say a lot to me is how this team performs on the road in time.
Yeah.
That'll say a lot about
That'll be the biggest factor.
my national expectations. The one area that a lot of, at least my eyes will be on, is on the back end. A lot of new bodies back there, and there's some size that come with it. I love that. Love the fact that you got some big, long defensemen that can just, cause havoc for opposing forwards. One name that keeps coming up is that of Finch. And what element is he going to bring? Are we talking like ACHA Rookie of the Year here, Pat?
I mean, I truly believe, because the men do have a Rookie of the Year, and last year they put it out. Good job, D1. But I think he's a guy that's capable of. He'll be in that category of Rookie of the Year. I really believe that. I also think Liberty's got a couple guys that are going to be in that category for Player of the Year with Hunter Verostic and Callan Dyke, I think for sure. And then a few All-Americans. Like, you've had a few guys that made Team USA. I think that was just kind of gave them a taste of playing with some of the best, and also that international play, some different element, at least the guys that were on Team USA that won. And so, I think Liberty right now, you have a ton of guys in this team, not just new but returning, that have another level that they're going to take their game to.
So, Steve, what do you want to see real quick from this team as it moves on? In the opening, I'm sure that the coaching staff has segments we want to see improvement here, here, and here as time goes on. What do you want to see from them night one?
I want to see them play a full 60 minutes. There are times that they've been lackadaisical at times, and it has come back to bite them. And the things that happen in the middle of the game, and to stay disciplined, stay out of the box. That's one of the biggest things that we've seen from this crew for the last, I don't even know how many years. They're always in the box. And
when was Liberty Hockey founded?
You put themselves behind the 8 ball just a little bit, and you just play smart and play the best version that they can of themselves. And hopefully that's not in the box.
And so you mentioned something there earlier, Pat, that kind of sparked me there from conversations I had back in the spring. That kind of core of guys that were able to go over and play on Team USA and then eventually win that World University tournament. I can't remember what the name was, something like that. They all came back with hey, we kind of get now what it takes to win, right? We've kind of tasted that. We understand it now. And that was a very core group of guys on the team. So I really expect from the leadership we have this year, from that group of guys, from our battle-tested veterans, and just the things that I've seen in the weight room. We'll have to ask Coach Andy what he's seeing out on the ice, but I think it's going to be just a battle-ready year. I really think we're going to see a lot of compete night in and night out from the boys.
What about in between the pipes? Yeah, obviously we know Verostic is really steadfast and one of the premier goaltenders in all the ACHA. Anytime you bring a goalie in mid-year and he has to kind of catch up, get to the same level of where everybody else is at. But we also saw Glassford last season have a little bit of a temper to him, And I expect he's a different vibe than that of Verostic, and I don't mind it at all. I like a guy who's kind of chasing people down, a little Ron Hextall, if you will.
Spicy,
Yeah, it was a little spicy. But how has he looked so far through training camp, if you will, and practices? And is this going to be a situation in between the pipes where it's 1A, 1B? Are we going to see both on a given weekend, or does Verostic get the majority of the crease?
Yeah, it's a great question. And to go back to the spiciness and little fire that Jackson has on the ice, it's just so shocking. Because when you talk to him, he's a big guy, right? When he's between the pipes, he's a big guy, strong, powerful, all that, but just nice. Just a nice guy. Right. But he must just have that ability to flip the switch when he goes out there on the ice and murder or something like that. But it's awesome. So obviously it's going to always come down to the coaching staff and what they're feeling that week and whatever else. But I hope we do have that 1A, 1B. I think the successful teams have that throughout the year, and then once Nationals comes around, you play who's hot. But Jackson is for sure a top-level goaltender. I think he got a little short-changed in the spring, having not played so many games for so long and then being thrown into the fire of well, here's the best in the league. Let's go get him. But I think it was the right move. Let's let him experience it. And I know he had a great summer of hard work. Whether it was here in Lynchburg, he was driving down to Roanoke to get extra ice time as well. He's really been putting in the work. I think he and Hunter are going to be a deadly combination for us this year.
Hey, thrilled to be joined now by head coach of the Flames, Kirk Handy. Kirk, thanks for taking the time on a game week to join us.
Yeah, thanks for having me in.
4th straight season, you start off against NC State. Obviously, it's a great, I don't even want to call it a warm-up game because they just smoked ECU 17-3, but you've created a great relationship with them in terms of you're comfortable with one another to start the season off against this opponent. How has this relationship grown over the years?
Well, we have a fantastic relationship with them, and our hopes are in the future they'll join ACHA Division I as well. But we have a great relationship, and it's a great opportunity for both programs to get a great game in at the beginning of the year. We have a lot of respect for them. Tim's done a fantastic job at NC State, and they've really grown into be a perennial powerhouse in ACHA Division II.
Yeah, you got to give them credit. You see their highlights and on their Twitter account, just the game one, lineup out the door, place was packed. They've really created a nice atmosphere down there for their program. And Coach Healy, like you said, he's coached a really good team. He's done a great job of. A lot of times you see a Division II team lose some of their top-end talent, and they kind of go through a lull for a while, but he has remained consistent.
Well, he's not only remained consistent, he's doing a fantastic job of growing the fan base down there. And we talk about this all the time. College hockey in the South is for real, and it's really building huge momentum. And their outdoor game last year, boy, 25,000 people there. Their first game of the season, he told me they had just over 1,400 people in the stands. Boy, that's fantastic for college hockey in the South, and it's exciting to see where we've come over all these years. But the hockey base in Raleigh, I mean, it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. We look at things here. You talk about getting ready for the season. Game 1 coming up here this Friday. What is game day on the first game of the season like for you? Take us through your day. We talk about hockey all the time, but what's your day-to-day, as you get ready for this?
Well, it's funny because about a month ago I started thinking about all the things I want to make sure I do, and then especially the week of one night, it might have been Saturday or Sunday this past weekend, I was thinking, okay, what are all the things I need to do this week leading up to it? And you want to make sure that you have everything set up so that come game day Friday, especially Friday afternoon, you can really make sure you've got everything set up so it's a smooth operation come Friday evening as well.
Every year, Kirk, obviously, you always like to say this is a special group of guys. I think we can all attest to really have gotten to know this team over the last couple of years, especially for Kirk working with them too, knows how special this group is. So, what sets this group apart to some of your previous teams that we've seen?
Well, there's a lot of experience inside the locker room. A lot of experience. I think, we've had a lot of great leaders. We haven't had a lot of great experience in the national tournament. And really, the last 5 years, we've had a lot of really deep runs into the national tournament. And so this group of guys knows what it takes to go and to have a deep run in the tournament. There's also a great leadership core, and I can't speak enough about Matt and Schwenke and Gammer and Albers. They're 4 fantastic leaders for us, and to be honest with you, they not only lead by example, but they lead in the way that they operate day to day for us.
When it comes to, we talked about it last week, also you scheduling the teams, scheduling this tough schedule. Obviously, you look to play the best. Do you ever think, too, that place has a good restaurant as well, so we got to schedule that as well?
Does Kirk have his ears plugged? No, I think for us, I mean, it's one of the things that we want to do. We always want to have the toughest schedule in the country, and God's blessed us with opportunities to play, the Minots, the Adrians, the Ohios, the Maryvilles, the different teams who are high quality opponents for us, and so we're going to continue to schedule and to make our schedule as competitive as it can be.
I know I can't wait for the next Jamestown, North Dakota roadie. So I gotta go to that all-you-can-eat sushi place again. Because nothing says good sushi like North Dakota. Let me tell
Do
you.
you remember that guy they had who ran the ice rink up there for them?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Came in on a Sunday afternoon, set our locker room up with fans, and man, he was fantastic. So.
No, I love it. I love the oftentimes we are playing in big arenas, but every now and then you just get that one beauty at the community rink that just makes the experience all the more better there. So, Kirk, we've mentioned our battle tested guys. We talked about kind of your thoughts, preparations on the first game of the season, but what do you look for in the first weekend of the season as the team? What are some things that you've talked about since our first days of practices that you're trying to instill in the guys? Is it just focus on the systems? Is it focus on discipline? Is it playing our game, not the other team's game? Talk us through that.
Well, it's 100% playing our game and not worrying about our opponent. And that's no disrespect to whoever we play. We just got to be the best version of Liberty University men's Division I hockey program every night that we can be. Yeah. And that's been our challenge to them this week in practice is let's be the best version of our program. You be the best version of you, and that in turn will help us be the best version that our team can be going into each and every night. And because we're playing a really tough schedule, and it's right away. I think for us, setting the standard, making sure that we have our systems, making sure that we're on top of guys and helping them understand what they need to do differently, I think is of utmost importance for us.
Awesome. And so Pat kind of mentioned it, you mentioned it, of we have battle-tested veterans on this team. And so I'm personally seeing a difference in the weight room this year with just the large, overwhelming majority of guys have been in big games, and they've, unfortunately for us, we've lost those games, and so it just seems like there's a certain work ethic that's going on. Are you seeing that also out on the ice?
100%. Along with that, there's a certain mentality that goes with it.
Yep.
So these guys now understand, like, hey, those are the things in the middle of a game that are going to make the difference between us winning the game or losing the game. And this year, we want to make sure that we are on top of those right away. And so I think it's been we've been having our player meetings this week with our players. And one of the things that I challenged all the lines, different things, but one of the things we really challenged, like the Feemster, the Gammer, and Schwenke line, with be the standard for us. Go out there and be the standard of knowing what to do, when to do it. Go out there and set the standard for us, and be a line that's always counted on as, hey, those guys know what to do early on in the season, because that's going to be key for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kirk talked about veteran presence, but the one area I'd say is a lot of changeovers on the back end. Like, what can we expect from this defensive unit that has a lot of new faces?
I love our depth. I think we've got incredible depth on the back end. All the new defensemen who have come in have one of the things that they all have in common is they all compete. And, we just picked up Nick Parmelo from the Division II team. He's going to stay up with us for the season. Owen Legowski, fantastic competitor. And then Marty and Kevin, both guys who compete all the time. So I love our compete in practice. We don't have to tell our guys to compete. It's there in practice. And so that's such a refreshing feeling. To your point earlier of what is different, the competitive edge.
Absolutely.
I see every day in practice.
What do you say to the fans who are going to pack this rink this year? What do you need from them? What's a message that you can give them?
Well, our fan base is fantastic, and it's one of the reasons why people want to come play at Liberty University is the unbelievable atmosphere we have in there. Our fans are loud, they stay the whole game, and they're involved with all that's going on throughout the game. And I think that consistency of volume that we have in the place is unbelievable. It makes a really tough environment for our opponents to play, and that's I guess what we want most is make it a tough place for our opponents to play. Hey, still respect our opponents. Let's not go over the line there as far as disrespecting them. We want to respect them in a way, and we want to show them that what we do at Liberty University is different, and the way that we can do it, and the way that we do sports environments here at Liberty, we can do it differently than other places.
Kirk, talk a little bit, because you did a good job of this at Nationals, letting them know, take it game by game. I'm sure the team is chomping at the bit to play Minot State next week, but talk to me about trying to keep them in the moment, though, for NC State, then to Minot State, and then so on and so forth, trying to take it game by game this season.
well, we have to take it game by game, and our focus is going to be on Friday night. You know, we challenged our guys with a pro mentality this week. Right? Be prepared, be intentional, and be focused. Let's make sure that, you know, we're ready to play Friday night. And again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, not being concerned with who we're playing against, but being concerned, are we the best version of our hockey program on Friday night? That's going to be our goal.
Good stuff. Again, Friday night coming up here quickly. Can't wait to get in the rink. 7 p.m. against NC State. Kirk, can't wait to see you there.
All right, thanks for having me in, guys.
All right, boys. So Kirk mentioned the leadership core, and this just sparked a story to bring up here from last night. Oh yeah, no, this will be a good one. So he was mentioning our leadership core, mentioning Nate Albers. So the boys are fully clothed in the weight room, just so everybody knows before this story gets going here. But they like to roll the sleeves up and show the guns off, right? Of course. So Nate had some new ink on his one shoulder there, a new tattoo. And I'm looking at it, and it's kind of like an angelic soldier-looking thing on top of some sort of demon or maybe the devil. And I say, Nate, what's going on with that? He goes, oh, Kerr. He goes, it's the Archangel Michael. And I was like, oh, why'd you get that? And he looks around just to make sure, you know, who's around. And he takes a step closer to me and goes, because he's a man of violence. I'm like, oh, boy. All right. So, he mentioned, you know, hard work and compete. And Nate Albers, true to form, is ready to come out for some hard work and violence out on the ice. Yeah. It sounds like. Tattooing the Archangel Michael on his shoulder there, so got me fired up. Just to put the league on notice. I know.
We asked like last week who was going to be the first
penalty.
To get a penalty. There you go.
Right there. Most likely.
Albers.
Make his reservation in the box now.
Yeah. That left shoulder's ready to dig into somebody's chest. I could tell it's going to happen.
You heard Kirk mention a call up from Division II on the back end. Pat, what can you tell us about this young man?
Well, I mean, I remember watching him in tryouts, and I asked Kirk. It was not only him, but even the forward that Kirk talked about last week, Higgins.
Yeah.
Like, they both didn't seem out of place, and I, like, watched them, and I was kind of like, oh, are you going to keep either of these guys? And he pointed to Pomerleau saying, like, yeah, maybe. But he's like, right now I like my group, the group that we have, especially our D-core. But he plays smart, aggressive.
That's
like
good.
He knows when, like, I need to go up. At least I'm going to say this, when I saw him in trout.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
He played smart, aggressive.
3,000 fans can change things.
That's right, yeah. Maybe in practice, everyone's like, this guy's, what are you talking about, Pat? You know, and fans, you get. Yeah. So, but, like, I liked his intentional aggression, right? Like, at times. And I also like the fact that he wasn't trying to do too much out there. Like, and he tried to play just a smart game. And he's got some speed to him, too. So, like, that's good whenever you can add speed on the back end. But, yeah, I mean, I like the addition of adding him up there because that's a guy I thought they would bring up, too. So I think he'll complement this D-core well that Kirk and even Kerr have just said it's a hard-working group.
Yeah. I think I'm excited for one guy in the back end in particular, and that's Laz Cable, in the sense of, like, last year he tried to do a lot physically. Yes. And I don't think that aspect of his game is going to leave, but it really sounds like the bodies that have been brought in have size and have some tenacity. Yeah. So they're just going to be throwing their weight around. He, in some ways, can just be a roamer. Yeah. Like, he has untapped offensive potential that I don't believe we've seen. I think he has the potential and ability to lead the league in points for a defenseman.
Yeah, I was going to say he reminds me not as because he was super skilled on the back end, but has that offensive touch that we haven't seen since Zane Shark.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he
gives you
a lot of those vibes. So, and obviously Team USA thought the same thing. That's why they brought him with him. But, I think he has the chance, as I said, one of those guys that could take their game to another level, but also this is a guy you could see potentially earn All-American status.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And he's one of those guys that, I mean, I have a core group in my head of just the the grinders, the hard workers. And to be as skilled as he is, he's in that group of like,
awesome.
I want to work as hard as I can, night in, night out, which again, when you have a team, that's what you want, right? You want everybody bought in to compete, hard work.
Biggest thing I don't want to see is just don't try to do too much. Like this is a Liberty team that doesn't need him to score a ton of points on the back end. But if you buy into the fact that it's not necessary for me, then I feel like even more will come. Just pick your spots and pick them well, and the point total will rack up for him, I firmly believe.
Yeah, for sure. He has that wicked one-timer. They'll set him up in the right spots on the ice. He's got the hands to dish out passes. It'll be fun. Fun to watch. Another good year.
Yeah. All right. Can't wait again for Friday night coming up here shortly. Kerr, my favorite segment's back. Kerr's Corner. What you got for us?
Well, gentlemen, I can't wait here. So excited to bring it back. So last year we covered a lot, right? A broad range of topics, and just like a good magazine or website, it's probably going to be some repeats here that the people need to hear. But something I really got into again over the summer was sunlight. Sunlight in the morning, right? Whether it's just because the sun's up earlier, whether because it's a little bit warmer, whatever else it is, I'm out in the garden. But researched again, got into it again of just that early morning sunlight. So early morning, I'm going to say like first hour-ish, there's none of the like UVA, UVB, harmful rays. You don't need your sunscreen. You don't need to cover yourself up. It's just all the goodness of sunlight that we could possibly get. And sunlight has positive effects on everything. So vitamin D production hopefully is one of the first things that come to mind. Vitamin D is incredibly important in the body. If there isn't enough, there's other vital processes of the body which will not be able to take place or take effect. The other thing it does too is balance out our cortisol and melatonin levels, right? So the supplement melatonin, we take that at night to help us fall asleep. So when we have more melatonin in our body, we're sleepy. When we wake up, there's some melatonin still left over. So if we go out and we get that sunlight in, kind of blocks down, suppresses that, and then increases cortisol levels. And cortisol is the get up and go drug. That's the one that kind of keeps us going. That's why it's hard to fall asleep, I'm sure, for you guys and for Steve after a broadcast or after an event, because you're so jacked up from having cortisol in your body. Now your cortisol and melatonin levels are imbalanced. And so morning sunlight also helps with that. And it just kind of sets a rhythm for the day. Rhythm meaning like you just wake up, it's important, kind of having your schedule, but also your circadian rhythm, right? That's your internal clock. So getting that, seeing that sun just lets your body know, hey, it's morning, it's go time. This is when we need to start waking up. So circadian rhythm tells you when you're tired, tells you when to wake up. Internal clock, morning sunlight helps with that. So as we're progressing in the season, if you're traveling, if you're adjusting to a new schedule, and it's kind of a bit of a struggle getting up, get out there in the morning. And I know for our teams, we'll have some cross time zone travels this year. So I'm going to be highly pushing, get up in the morning, go get some sunlight, get your breakfast in, and go out and have a great night that night. But morning sun, fellas.
Are you talking about circadian rhythm? How hard is... Okay, so I don't know anything about it. With your body, how long does it take you to kind of get your brain, if you will, or your body in a system where it's like, okay, I know when I go to bed at 10, my body's going to be like, all right, we're going to sleep in 15 minutes, and we get up at 6. Because I think a lot of people with schedules, they get into a system where like, okay, I'm going to bed midnight one night, at 9 one night. Does that just jack everything up, for lack of a better term? Is it best for you if you have just a routine, organized bedtime and wake up time?
Yes, absolutely. Having I'm just going to call it good sleep hygiene is so important. So how long does it take to adjust to things? Everybody is different, right? Every body is different. Everybody has different sleep habits, whatever else. So it's hard for me to say, if you look at the sun consistently for 3 days, you'll be set. But when we talk about that sleep hygiene, there's just some things you can't avoid. You guys can't avoid, broadcasting a midnight game, and you're probably not going to be going to bed early, and that's going to kind of screw you up for a couple days. Or if you're forced to be at an event, or you're staring at screens, or even one of your kids' games, that gets you all fired up. So I would say trying to be as consistent as possible with sleep and wake up is very important. Try to limit caffeine after a certain time as a stimulant. Limit your screen time, because it has blue light, and that also stimulates you. Same way the sun does. It's going to increase cortisol levels. So doing your best to stay as on routine or scheduled as possible is very important.
All right, last question. Is there any foods that naturally help or create an obstacle in the body creating melatonin or cortisol?
That is a great question. I'm not too positive on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll kind of leave it there. But I do know this: having a huge amount of protein. Right, everybody's different. For me, it doesn't affect me much, but like having a huge amount of protein right before you go to bed, now your body has to focus a ton on digesting, and that does take time. It also increases your body temperature. So if you're hot, you're not going to sleep as well. But I like having a lot of carbs before bed, just so that my body has something to kind of chew on at night, but also too, the slight blood sugar spike and then drop makes you a little drowsy, and boom, right to sleep.
All right. What kind of carbs are you eating before you go to bed?
So before I go to bed, mostly fruit, my fruit and yogurt, or my fruit and kefir or something.
Yes.
Yeah, my frozen berries. That'll get me going.
I know for eating some good sauerkraut before bed was like the way to sleep.
Maybe I'll experiment and let you know.
All right.
Yeah.
Isn't it pretty amazing though? We look at outside and look at God's creation, but yet the creation that he did with our body and how intricate it is.
For sure.
And
unbelievably
the things that we have
complex.
to do in order to take care of it. It's just pretty amazing.
The thing that blows my mind is like my left brain controls my right eye. Like, how does that happen? How do the wires get crossed in there? It's just unbelievable.
But are they?
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly.
All right, turn our attention now to Men's Division 3. This is a group that finished 19-8-1 last year. Terrific year for them. The biggest change is behind the bench. Josh Wagner now, former Division 2 player, head coach of the group, with Josh Graham now moving to the Women's Division 1 as an assistant coach. 10+ new players for this team. This is a group that already has played a game. They lost. It was against a junior team. The Potomac Patriots lost that game 5-1. They are a part of the AAU, and they have South Carolina on the docket later this month.
This will be interesting to see how they are just able to get things going now. Now you have some tape, trying to see how you can get things put together before you play South Carolina, a team that knocked this group out of nationals, or I shouldn't say knock them out of nationals, but that was their final game at nationals, lost in overtime. So it'll be interesting to see. I know Josh Wagner, he's very excited about his team. He's very excited about the potential of this group too, to continue on what they've been able to do recently. And also a fun fact, in AAU, they're technically not men's D3.
Oh, yeah.
They are Division 2.
Oh,
AAU.
okay.
So technically we have 2 D2 teams now, so that's going to be kind of interesting when looking things up about both of them. Well, not too interesting because one's in AAU, but you know what I mean.
That's
but
still,
it's
get
just,
confusing.
it'll get confusing if we decide to change it internally. But yeah, it should be exciting.
I remember Coach Graham talking about that, of like, hey guys, we're going to be a D2 AAU team next year. Like, what are we going to do about this? I think it got so confusing. He said, "I'm out. I'm just gonna go join the ladies there." But so, Rhett, you've coached hockey, right? Unlike me over here, I just kind of step into certain roles. What is it like? Take us kind of inside the mind of Josh Wagner here. Of all right, I'm a new coach for all intent and purposes, new team having 10 new players.
Yeah, that is the hardest part of what we'll call at Liberty the Division 3 level AAU D2 team. Is there's a lot of rollover, right?
Yeah.
Like more than any other team, hockey team on the campus, that team just seems to get disrupted because you can have a potential for a guy getting called up. You can recruit a kid in, and he can get plucked if you're really excited about one. So it's not an easy go of things. I'm sure Coach Wagner is going to find that out, and it takes time to kind of get used to that idea because team chemistry is so big. I think in the early stages, just having bonding experiences, and it can be the ideas of like where you take kids out camping and you're kind of going through the ringer in terms of physical exertion that bonds people together too. One thing I did during my time was if you come to church with me on Sunday, you can come over and eat afterwards.
Oh,
and we had
like
a lot of guys come over and just we'd have massive pasta fest, right? And feed a bunch of 18-year-olds and then play chell in the afternoon, and people seem to love that. It created its own kind of chemistry. But I think getting to know your team and what makes them tick is big. And unfortunately for Josh, you have to do that process over and over again. And for Kirk, he has a ton of returners, right? He knows the majority of these guys. And while you want to get to know them deeper each and every year, you know the foundation, hopefully, of each individual, except for the newcomers. You're learning that still. But when you're at that Division III level, it almost feels like, okay, brand new team. Like I just uprooted my family and moved to Green Bay, and now I'm moving to Tennessee. It's like a different group of guys each and every year.
And he's not that much older than they are,
which I think is good. I really do.
And
relate to
knowing
him
because it's oddly enough, he was one of my students at one point.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So, what does it take as a coach, being close in age like that, to get them to buy into what you're trying to sell?
In some ways, it may be easier for him because he has played, and he can say, hey, this worked for us at the Division II level. Proof is in the pudding. Like, we were a really good team. And I think they'll buy into that. For me, when I first started, I was younger, and I felt like I had a better relationship with the guys opposed to the second go-around when I was older, and it felt like there was definitely a separation there. And you could feel that. So, I think it's just showing, like, his background will help him
for sure
lead people in the right direction of being victorious and playing the brand of hockey he wants. And I never, when I was younger, had that issue where it's like, well, you're the same age as me. What do you know? The guys were respectful. They understood it. And I think they will be in this situation as well.
My advice would be grow a beard. It helps.
Yes.
It
really does.
Yeah. When I was 22 working with, how old are you on D1? You're 25? Oh boy. Yeah. If you have a good beard. But what I would say for Josh too is his office is right between Coach Ben Hughes and Coach Chris Lowe's. Just rely on the people around you too. And then just show passion, right? Yeah. Like people want to work with, as Matt Bartell said last week, come along with me type of leaders. Show the passion, show you care, and man, the boys definitely respond to that.
Yeah, that's a great point about Hughes, because Hughes wasn't that old when he took over.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
He wasn't even. He just finished playing.
Yeah, which is crazy. And you see the success he's been able to foster within that program. So awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. It's going to, I think for fans out there that are of Division III, give them a little bit of a breather to start. Obviously they had a great year last year, but if they start off the year a little bit on the rocks, I think that's expected.
Yeah.
Right? New coaching staff, like we said, a large part of the team is new, and it's going to take time to kind of get it on the rails and go in the right direction of the way Wagner wants to take this thing. And when they get there, I'm sure it's going to be successful because they have a lot of talent. They're not going to have a horrible season by any means, but I wouldn't be surprised if the first month or so of play was a little bit on the bumpier side of things, because you're just, again, it's that chemistry and it's people know where they're exactly supposed to be. And this is a team, too, that's had some coaching staff change over a program over the past few years as well. Like Coach Graham wasn't there for an awfully long time. They had Smith before that. And so hopefully Wagner can kind of grab a hold of it in the first month and get people on the right page. Not buying in. I'm sure the buy-in's going to be there, but just kind of everybody understanding this is where I need to be. This is my role within that team, and then it'll settle out.
What I've noticed with men's Division III from my time working with them as well is it's guys who love hockey and love to play hockey.
Yeah.
Right? That's why they're there. Case in point, I'll give a shout out to one of their players, Jesse Zaragoza, who has tried for like years to make this team and like works his butt off. I see him all the time just trying to work, talking to all the coaches, doing whatever he can. So when you have a team like that and coached well, you're going to have success, right? The score might not always go your way, but there's good chance of success going on there.
I've got a good story that's kind of like that.
Can't wait to hear it.
Names out of it.
Okay.
So there was this, you know what I'm talking about.
I don't. It might be. I'll wait for you.
So there was this guy that was trying to make the Division III team for years.
This is like a Happy Gilmore.
No, not
Can't deny
quite.
me this year.
Exactly.
See my power.
And it was down to his senior season. I believe he had tried out every single year. And He knows. So
Story now.
he's in the final tryout, and he's made it to the final tryout. Like, he hasn't gotten cut beforehand, right? So he's like, yeah, this is my time, boys.
Yeah.
So he gets in there, and he gets playing. Well, takes a puck off the skate and breaks his blade.
Oh, no.
So he's done. And I think rental skates weren't available at the time. So basically he goes over to the coaching staff. He's like, my skate broke. I can't get a rental. Like, I guess I'm just going to go. Well, the head coach goes, no. Just stay around. Stay around. So he's like,
No.
he's like,
Yeah.
I've made it. Like,
Yeah.
he's thinking I've
Yeah,
made
No,
it.
he
right?
was able to find a way to get some rentals.
Well, did he get a rental?
Yeah,
Okay.
someone like gave him some.
Okay, so-
because he brought him back to the coach. I got skates.
So he gets back out there. So he thinks he's locked it in, right?
Yeah,
With
yeah.
them telling him, don't go. Like,
Yeah.
stay around. Well, it comes to the end of it, he gets cut.
Oh.
The poor kid. Like, it talk about a guy that's been trying hard to make it.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
his dream, and I feel so bad for him. But at the same time, that's one of the funnier stories I've heard. Where the
Yeah.
coach in that moment just didn't realize who it was.
Yeah.
And kept him around. Just that.
Oh.
And like when he saw
Like a
Heartbreaker.
slow, painful death.
Yeah.
he like saw the sheet and saw his name wasn't on it too, and like you could just see the anger
Yeah.
get in his face. Like,
Oh, man.
he just wanted to rip the sheet down. He like went up to the sheet, look, ooh, wait, like wanted to punch the wall.
Oh.
Like,
It is a happy Gilmore.
Yeah. They can't deny me this year.
364 days.
Yeah.
All right, let's move our attention now to Women's Division 2. Lady Flames 17-7-2 a year ago, 6 in the Southeast region. Just missed nationals. I feel like that unfortunately has been their motto for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
been a
Yeah.
tough sledding
Yeah.
for them. And again, we've talked about the small amount of controversy that's followed them as well. Hopefully this year will be different. But Pat, what is your overall thoughts and feelings for this group?
I think this is a group definitely capable of making nationals. Obviously, joining the DVCHC, or sorry, rejoining the Delaware Valley Collegiate Hockey Conference. I think that's huge for them. Like, I know they've had issues in that conference because the last time they were in there, a little controversy kept them from going to the tournament.
Yeah,
But like, you return like some really talented
You do.
ladies from this group too. Like, I mean, you think about their top 5 scorers. 4 of them were rookies last year, so like that's
That's
huge.
impressive.
Yeah.
So like they have a lot of depth. You just added to it. Coach Leon's been excited. I remember seeing her like in the first couple skates shortly after. She was like, hey, we're going to be really good this year. And like,
Yeah.
that's saying a lot considering they were really good last year too.
Yeah.
They just got shortchanged. So this is a group that I think not only should be able to compete for a conference, but should potentially win the conference. And then there shouldn't be any controversy because they get an auto bid if they win conference.
Going out and seeing one of their practices, I was just shocked. And Coach Leon saw the look on my face of how many skaters they have. They are a deep team.
That's good.
It was just incredible. There's so many skaters out there as opposed to in years past having a smaller bench. And she comes over and, hey, yeah, whatever. Last year, we really struggled with stretch passes, trying to make it long down the ice, get it out of the zone. She's like, so that's the drill we're working on right now. We're just hammering the weaknesses. So to your point of great year last year, bringing in some more depth, just working on the things that need to get worked on. It's exciting. I have a quote here from Coach Leon.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, maybe I think old Ted Allen put this one together. I want to get your guys' take from Coach Leon. I'm not going to say we're going for blood, but we're going to let it all out on the ice every single game. Hot take
I like it.
from Coach Leon there.
like
Just
it.
putting the league on notice.
Yeah, that's
This is gonna be the
definitely-
year.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. Like, yeah, you're not gonna get me again.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
We're making it happen.
I like it going
But I do.
for it.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
I like. It's always good when you see the coach a little
Yeah.
fired up too, right? Like, so.
Well, I think, too, it immediately puts their team on notice, too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, we're not going to be okay with just barely making it in. Like, we want to knock the door down. There's
Right.
not going to be any question marks around us being a team that should be at nationals.
Yeah. And what I love for Coach Leon too is I think she does such a phenomenal job with recruiting
Yeah.
and having like pre-established relationships with her players coming in. So again, the practice I was watching, she was able to point out all the rookies on the ice of like, known her since she was 12, 13, 15, whatever,
That's
right?
really cool.
And speaking to their upcoming games, I think she does a great job too, playing the local talent and using that as kind of the recruiting pitch, right? Having games here at Liberty and let these young ladies come see what Liberty University is all about.
Lady Flames are playing the Junior Canes on September 16th and the Armstrong Arrows, U19 team, on September 17th. Coming up here in just a couple of days. So best of luck to them on the season. Again, Liberty, boy, it's time.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot wait.
Unbelievable.
Friday night,
ready.
7 p.m., Icepack coming to town. Make sure you're there. We will be. All right, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.